Kerry, formation switch, you guys were kind of all over them in terms of chances, got 20-plus shots off tonight. Most of them were inside the box. I mean, how would you assess the performance? I know the result maybe doesn't end up the way you want, but it seemed like it was the type of performance you were looking for.
Yeah, I wouldn't want anything else other than the result. I think the game can be cruel sometimes, and as I tell the players, it's very difficult to control the result. You can control the performance and your attitude and your thoughts and how you go about your business, and I thought from that perspective, the performance, or therefore the result, didn't match the performance and vice versa. So I think we deserve more in the game. San Diego are a good team. They've had a really good year. They have a really distinct style in how they like to play. I thought we turned them over in good areas of the field, and as you said, the performance was good.
A player like Anders Dreyer, he gets a goal and an assist, and Lozano, I mean, those are two high-priced players, but high-quality players. I mean, is that just kind of the way that goes when you've got players like that in a game like that where they maybe didn't see as many chances, that they capitalize on those two?
Yeah, I think you put your investment in the attacking players because the good ones can turn the game in a moment's notice. And in an otherwise equal game at that point, a turnover in our end led to a really good goal by Lozano. John has come up so big for us this year, and in that moment he wasn't able to come up big. But it's not his fault. It's not any single person's fault. It's just sometimes that's the way the game goes. And Dreyer's goal in the second half put us in a really difficult position. But like this team has always done, we didn't give up. We created a lot more chances even after 2-0. You get one in the 85th minute, maybe you get the second one. We've seen it done before within the group, but tonight wasn't our night in terms of finishing. We had a lot of chances, probably more than I can remember over the course of these last few months. Created so many chances, and tonight was not our night on the goal.
And Kerry, a pretty physical game tonight. How do you think your team responded to the physicality of San Diego?
Outstanding. There's not one thing I would ask more from my team tonight. We competed, we fought, we played, we took advantage of situations, we created opportunities in the box, and we stood up for ourselves and our teammates. And so that's a really good sign for the group moving forward, despite the fact that we didn't get the result tonight. And I know the business that we're in, but the performance was outstanding. And like I said, I can't ask any more of the players.
And then Alan Montez got his debut. Saw you guys switch to a back three again, something we've seen a few times this season in the second half. Is that something you think we might see more in the future? And what were your thoughts on Montez's debut?
It was good to get him on the field. He's just joined us, so to integrate him at this part of the season, to get him a few minutes was, I think, really good for him and really good for us to at least see an introduction of what's possible with him. Being down 2-0 in the game and now playing with a 3-4-3 with a Freef on the right and Shallowy on the left was a very attack-oriented way to approach the game, but at that point you have nothing to lose. So we've changed a lot of different things this year, sometimes in the course of the game, sometimes tonight as we started in a 4-4-2, and we're going to continue to try to find different ways to be, on the front foot in games and to see the advantages that the opponent can give us. But ultimately, we want to create an identity for us that we don't always adapt to the opponent. And so that's going to take a little bit of time. But I'm really confident in the club, the organization, and what we're doing moving forward.
Kerry, 13 in the standings, and with the results, if it was up to you, do you see yourself coaching next season? And if so, what it needs to happen?
That's not my decision. That's somebody else's question. In terms of what I need to do, I think about the next day and the upcoming next game, because my job, my responsibility is to get the best out of the players that we have in the locker room right now, to make sure they're playing together and they put in good performances. And tonight, as I said, I'm really happy with the performance.
Kerry, in order to build that style of play, the cohesion, the chemistry that you're looking for, how important is it to get out on the front foot in a game? Because another one, it's been a trend where Sporting falls behind in the game, and then does that throw off the plan going into the game?
No, because I think at halftime tonight we walked into the locker room and otherwise a great goal from Lozano, which was a turnover. The game plan and what we wanted to do going into the game was working perfectly. So we didn't come in wanting more other than goals. On the defensive side, we made the game very compact. That was a strategy that we wanted to do. We limited them to very few opportunities on goal. That was also a strategy. And on the attacking side, we created a few really good opportunities. And so I don't get too caught up in the halftime, score as much as, we talk about the first half. Why do we always come? It's a 90-minute game. And a lot of times we've come back from that. We've tried different things. We've explored, and the guys have been creative. They've been resilient, and I think that's something that we can build on.
I wanted to ask about the formation tonight with Santi and Dejan up top, and then with kind of no holding midfielder behind Zoran and Jake. Just how do you feel like? Did you feel like what you were hoping to see out of it came out of it? And just kind of talk through what kind of plan went into that.
Yeah, I think, you take an awful risk with a team that likes to put a lot of numbers through the midfield, that doesn't have a true number 9 and likes to play with a false 9 and overload the middle of the field. And I think we did a great job in two aspects tonight. I think the two center forwards starting off did a really good job of not exposing themselves and waiting for the opportunities to press. But you can't do that without the engine of Basong and Davis in the mid. They covered an incredible amount of ground. We wanted to keep the game compact. Credit to Daniel and Shappy to now stay through the central part of the field. And we turned them over. And in the first half, we turned them over in pretty good areas and got into their half of the field. We weren't necessarily clean in the final moments. That could have been a little bit better. But in terms of that strategy, that defensive structure, I think we handled it really well. When we went to their place the first time, we played something a little bit different, and we're going to continue to look at ways that we can use the best out of our players, and that'll sometimes be a structural change. But the defensive numbers are really what we're talking about in terms of the structure of a 4-4-2, because with the ball, I wouldn't classify that as a 4-4-2.
And then Logan and Dembe had to leave the game injured, caused Bartlett to come on. How do you think he handled being in that double pivot in the midfield? And then do you have any update on Logan?
No update on Logan. I think the Bart coming in as a double pivot, it's not something he's overly used to, and the characteristics that he has is really as a single pivot. But when he went in there, his work rate, his ability to cover ground, his ability to connect passes, win second balls that popped out, I think he did a really good job.
Kerry, thank you very much for the time tonight.
Thank you.
That concludes tonight's post-match press conference with Sporting Kansas.